Everybody. So, Provost, special guests, it gives me huge pleasure to welcome you all this morning to the launch of Science Gallery Dublin's 2018 programme. My name is Lynn Scarff, I'm Director of Science Gallery, and before we launch into telling you, I'm going to keep you there for a moment before we reveal what we're doing next year, to talk to you a little bit about some of the highlights from 2017. It's great to be able to stand up here every year, launch a programme and say, last year was another great success at Science Gallery, and it was another great success at Science Gallery. We actually had some of our biggest visitor numbers to date. Our summer sound check literally melted the ears of our visitors and a lot of our staff, but it also welcomed over 147,000 visitors into the Science Gallery space. And it's amazing, we should probably get some research done on how we manage to consistently grow our visitor numbers, never grow our space. So it's a scientific conundrum, but it continues to happen. And then Humans Need Not Apply was an exhibition in 2017, which really happened at a crucial time when people are asking big questions about the impact of artificial intelligence. And we took that a step further in Science Gallery and asked, well, what if artificial intelligence could be creative? What does that mean for future work and for the professional workforce? And just in October, we launched In Case of Emergency, which is currently the exhibition that we have on show. And what was particularly exciting about that was through a Science Foundation Ireland Discover Programme grant, we were able to put together collaborations between artists and scientists and actually commission new work in partnership with some of the research centres. So Connect, Curram, ICRAG and Amber were involved in that. And that's really where Science Gallery is at its best. It is bringing these researchers within our leading research centres together with disciplines of art and science to create new work. But before we reveal the 2018 programme, I'd really like to welcome the Provost of Trinity College Dublin, Patrick Prendergast, to the stage. At our programme launch every year, we reflect on Science Gallery Dublin's key supporters. And it's very hard to believe, but Science Gallery is 10 years old next year. It is our 10th birthday on February 8th. And I think it's really worth noting that 10 years ago, Trinity College Dublin took a risk on an idea that at the time seemed a little bit edgy and provocative to develop a new cultural space. But it's really an opportune time with the Provost, I feel, to reflect on the impact that Science Gallery has had on those 10 years, both in the community within the college, but also in terms of how the university is seen outside of its walls. So Provost, I'll welcome you. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Welcome everyone to Science Gallery. On behalf of the university, it's wonderful to see again such a nice turnout here and such a brilliant programme of exhibitions and events in place for next year, in place here in Science Gallery in the heart of our capital city. Next year is a seminal one for Science Gallery. The second Science Gallery is opening in King's College London in 2018, followed by Science Gallery Bangalore in 2020. And that one is in partnership with the Indian Institute of Science, and Science Gallery Melbourne with the University of Melbourne in 2021. So we're on the cusp of a great expansion which was first planned in 2012. We're tremendously excited about this. It's something for Trinity and for Dublin and for Ireland to be proud of, particularly, of course, the great work of all who work here in Science Gallery and their donors can be proud of it as well. I hope for London, Bangalore and Melbourne, and after them, Ca' Foscari in Venice is going to open a Science Gallery, and Michigan State University in Detroit are opening a Science Gallery lab. I hope for those places that their science galleries will have as strong and as great an impact for their cities and their universities as Science Gallery here has had on Trinity and on Dublin. You're probably, most of you, well aware of Science Gallery's very measurable impact. As Lynn has mentioned, a huge number of visitors is one thing. It's the 6th most popular visitor attraction in Ireland. Let me just mention, though, what it's meant for Trinity and for education. Science Gallery offers an informal learning space which helps drive in education. This is where education and how we educate in the 21st century is going, moving away from didactic activity and very familiar with, but even more effective for that informality. Program here blends art, science, technology, engineering and mathematics, the so-called STEM subjects. And this aligns perfectly to our focus in Trinity on interdisciplinarity and the development of critical, creative and analytical skills. Educators worldwide now acknowledge the pedagogical benefits of integrating art and creative media in the development of new curricula in the STEM disciplines. We're reflecting this new approach in Trinity, the changes we're making to our curriculum through the Trinity Education Project. The new science undergraduate curriculum was launched just this week. Have the first intake of students next year. We're proud of the greater depth, breadth, flexibility and creativity we're bringing to undergraduate programming. Establishing Science Gallery Dublin has been instrumental in developing this approach. Science Gallery's education programs have been decisive in involving secondary school students in challenging and creative projects and in getting them excited about proceeding to third level. As we know, the future of a thriving economy depends on encouraging more of our young people to develop interests in STEM subjects. And we can encourage them to develop that interest by showing them how art and science can work together, how indeed they collide, and how new ideas come from that collision. As we launch today another year of incredible exhibitions here in Science Gallery Dublin, we can be sure that thousands of visitors will learn things new and unexpected about the world, and perhaps about themselves. And among these visitors will be some who will be fired up to take up the study of science and engineering at university. On behalf of Trinity, I would like to congratulate Lynn and of course her team of curators and all the professional staff that work here in Science Gallery, also the scientists, researchers, students, artists, designers, inventors and creative thinkers and entrepreneurs who have put together these exhibitions. I would like to thank Science Gallery Dublin's founding partner, the Wellcome Trust, and the Science Circle members, Deloitte, ESB, Google, ICON, and the NTR Foundation, and government partners and Science Circle members, Science Foundation Ireland, and the Department of Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, and the Science Gallery Dublin programme partners, who are Bank of Ireland, Intel Ireland, the Ireland Funds, and the Marker Hotel, and the media partner Irish Times. Everyone involved with the great success that is Science Gallery Dublin can be very proud. Looking forward to a brilliant programme of events next year, and next year also to the opening of Science Gallery London. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Provost, and you set up really nicely our next speaker. So every year I get up here and tell you about how wonderful we are, and that's, that's great. But do you believe me? So every year we invite one of our participants, one of the people who's taken part in our programs over the series of years, to tell you a little bit about their story. And as you all know, our target audience is 15 to 25-year-olds, and a big part of Science Gallery being free entry and being supported by all those partners that the Provost mentioned is so that we can provide programming for that target audience and that they can repeatedly engage with us. And so that allows me to introduce Louis Ó Súilleabháin, who is one of our mediators, a long-time Science Gallery participant, who's just going to tell you a little bit about his own personal journey in Science Gallery. So Louis, do you want to come up?
Hi everyone. It's Ó Súilleabháin, and I'm a mediator, makeshop facilitator, and TY mentor here. I guess to start off on a personal note, I would attribute my first scientific or science interest, my first interest in science basically, to my first class teacher, Mr. He'd always get a white lab coat out whenever it was time for science, and it sent a surge of excitement through the whole class. And I think something stuck with it there for me. And likewise, I'd attribute it to my mum. She's always taken us, me and my siblings, to Merrion Square on a Sunday morning, and she never gave me when I drew all over my copybooks in school, which is a good thing, I think. My first engagement with Science Gallery would have been in third year. My art teacher brought us here on a tour for techno threads. I think one of the pieces of the exhibit there was dresses made out of wine residue, and this the scum left in the glass after a pint, I guess. And I remember thinking, if you can make dresses or clothes out of that kind of stuff, what else can you do? It's kind of cool. It's kind of an eye-opener, I guess. And I guess I liked it a lot because the following year, in transition year, I came back for the TY program. I think it was the first TY program Science Gallery ever had, and there were only 4 of us, which is a lot smaller than we have now, which is 4 sets of 20 kids every year. But I think we were in good hands because who was in charge of the TY program then was actually Lynn herself. So it's kind of, I think we were safe there. So then coming up with this year, and I was trying to fill in my CAO. It's a mess because I love science and love art, and choose between the two. History and architecture and French on the last day of revising, the CAO decision. And so I thankfully got science here in Trinity. And then Diane, the former education officer, contacted me and asked me if I can come in and give a few talks to the transition year students then about studying science in college and college life in general. And that goes on for about 3 years before she finally asks me if I'd like to apply for a job, because obviously it was never going to occur to me. So that was in my final year. That was 2016, March, for field test. And then, it just it was great because I got to talk to so many different people about so many different issues, and they've got so many different opinions on 2 of my biggest issues, which are science and art, and how they, like Patrick said, collide and merge, and how so many things come from that interplay. And then from then, so at the start of this year, I started doing makeshop facilitating, which is really great, I think, because it means we get to, so there's a shop, makeshop, just around the corner, but we also get to go to schools and a lot of outreach. And there, I kind of realized how lucky I was to have a Mr. Monaghan, because you can kind of see that a lot of kids don't have that same interest in science. And in a kind of cheesy way, it feels great that I can almost feel like a Mr. Monaghan, if only for a day, because we get really great responses from the kids for those things we do. And then to kind of bring it full circle, just last month I was myself a TY mentor on the TY program, and it was really good getting to know some of the kids a whole week is really cool. You get to try their thought progression and how they form their own original ideas on various issues, from the exhibition that's on at the moment, or little projects we set them, or guest speakers, or even just talking to each other. Their peer-to-peer kind of interaction is really good as well. So basically, I've kind of hijacked this to talk about myself, but I just think if the people who visit Science Gallery or interact with it in any way get even a fraction of what I've got out of it, I'm still getting out of it, then I think they're doing a really good job. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, Louis. It's not easy to get up and talk and with no notes whatsoever. He's an amazing guy. So you've been standing at the end. Sure, let's show you the video for what we have coming in the 2018 program. Here we go. Science Gallery is moving into its 2018 year of programming, which is also our 10th year, so a big celebration year for Science Gallery. And we're especially excited by some of the exhibition themes that we have coming up.
It's a really interesting concept of trying to look at fake, both from a positive and a negative perspective, how things are being faked, how perceptions are being played with.
We don't know a lot about how the human brain detects what's fake out there. This exhibition, for me, is about how we perceive what's fake from what's real.
People don't often think about fake when they think about the animal kingdom, but actually animals cheat and lie quite a lot. Birds will give an alarm call that tells all the other birds there's a predator coming, so they all run away. And he goes down and steals the food that the other ones were eating. Animals are clever enough to cheat, and we'll be exploring that kind of idea.
People would have, I mean, the show is titled Fake, which just speaks of what they're countering, but equip them with some more kind of critical faculties, so for them to be able to identify fakes and identify.
Even more than ever, there's a need for science gallery exploring the big questions of our time and actually bringing together people from different disciplines. We get closer to some of the potential solutions to those challenges than we would by exploring them from one discipline alone.
So Life at the Edges is a really exciting new exhibit. It's going to look at life in all kinds of environments. It's going to look at the bottom of the oceans. It's going to look inside volcanoes. It's going to look at humanity. Humanity is confronted by climate change. It's then going to look at out in the universe where we have exoplanets. There are over 3,000 planets out there. Is there life?
We as humans are coming towards living at the edge of what may be sustainable for our particular planet. And so we're talking a little bit about how we can explore ways in which we can survive living at that edge and adapt to living at that edge.
So I hope people come away thinking, wow, there's a whole spectrum of life out there in the normal environment that we see, but maybe more in extreme places. And we as scientists are going out to try and explore those and find evidence for life.
Their future generations, their great-great-grandchildren, will be the first explorers out into the solar system, and who knows where they may end up living.
Intimacy is ultimately what makes us understand who we truly are, alone or with others. The show explores how we perceive and experience intimacy today, and also how art, science, design and technology can each in their own way help us understand it and describe it, and help us understand how we connect in pairs, groups or even networks. Visitors to the show will get a general idea of our desire and need to connect. Hopefully will be inspired by a never-ending dialogue between different ways of looking at the same phenomenon, and how this dialogue hopefully can put new definitions of intimacy and new spaces of experience for it, and help us perhaps improve the way we connect.
2018 will also be a year of celebrations for us because it is our 10th year. So in February, which was originally when we opened Science Gallery with a show called Lightwave, we'll be having a big event here in Science Gallery to celebrate those 10 years. We'll also be expanding some of our education programs over the year, and we'll also be looking at our events programs popping up throughout the country as well. In our 10th year, we're really delighted that we have some of the partners and supporters that have been with us through the whole journey of Science Gallery. As we go into 2018, we leave 2017 having welcomed our 3 millionth visitor into Science Gallery. 2018, we hope, will provide lots of opportunities for our audience to engage with us, to grow our programme, to participate and to leave their mark on. And so there you have it, an exciting a year ahead. When people ask us about how we develop the themes for Science Gallery and how we manage to consistently come up with things that just seem to be right at the cutting edge of what's happening in our world right now, one of the critical elements that we haven't mentioned yet today is our Leonardo group, and this is our thought leaders. It's academics from our community here in Trinity, but also from outside our community, VCs, entrepreneurs, people in theatre and arts and medicine and health. And every year they're feeding in ideas for our programme, which enables us to be really tapped in to what's happening at the cutting edge of lots of different disciplines. So our team here are outstanding. We also have the support of all of these experts feeding in their ideas. So Provost mentioned a lot of our supporters, and I think I just really do want to iterate that, you know, what we do in Science Gallery requires the support of a number of people. We have have been funding us since the beginning of Science Gallery. Our science partners, Deloitte, ESB, Google, ICON and the NTR Foundation, and government support from Department of Culture and the Gaeltacht and Science Foundation Ireland. But we also have programme support. We have our media partner, the Irish Times. We have Intel. We've been working with the Health Research Board in the development of events. The Marker partners with us in terms of accommodation. And also this beautiful Deloitte gallery that you're standing in right now was recently renovated by the partnership that we have with Walls to Workstations, design and furniture company just based outside of Dublin, who also renovated our cafe That's been a partnership for us as well. But what I would say is that we're always seeking new partners. We're open to conversations and ideas. And actually just yesterday, we just finalised the idea for a new collaboration with the French Embassy, who are going to support us with bursaries for bringing French artists in through Hull. And we're really excited about that as well. So finally, just to close, as the network of Science Gallery grows and we've just welcomed our 3 millionth visitor, London is going to welcome its first visitor technically in June. It's a really exciting time for us, and it's really worth remembering that what fuels Science Gallery is its location on this university campus, is its boundary between the community and between the academic community. It's the way that the academic staff and the students of this university engage with what we do. We aren't about providing content, we're about being a creative platform. We're somewhere that is pursuing the art of conversation. How do we have great conversations about these really tricky themes of our time? And that's done by media like Louis, but it's also critically done by academic staff and students who are willing to put themselves in the scenarios to have those conversations. You know, these are the people that make Science Gallery what it is. It's a vibrant, creative space at the heart of the city. With that, I look forward to working with you all in the coming year. I hope that you come in and enjoy our programs, that you feedback, that you take part, and thank you so much for coming this morning. Good morning.